This content is brought to you in association with my buddies over at Jam Jam Cards UK. You can find the links to the eBay store and the Facebook page in the description. Hi guys, it's Joe here from Rufioh. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome aboard. You should definitely hit subscribe and the notification bell before you go any further and realise how fucking garbage my content is. Now for today's video, we are going to be taking a look at a deck profile from the UK Nationals 2022. Charlie Green was excellent enough to send over his Numeron list, which took him to a nice 113th place. Now it may seem that it's a little bit weird that we're talking about 113th place profile, however it's worth talking about the fact that he was playing Numeron. And 113th place probably means that he got an X-3 record. He didn't actually disclose what this was, but from context from looking at the way the standings worked, he probably went X3. An X3 with a deck like Numeron? That's pretty good over 10 rounds of Swiss. Now, he'd messaged me before the event ended asking if he could disclose his profile when all was said and done, and I said, yeah, send it on over to me, we'll take a look. Now, it is worth knowing that anyone who got inside the top 128 at the UK Nationals did indeed get additional prizing. So Charlie would definitely have found himself in that bracket using Numeron. Now, before we do get stuck into the deck profile, I would like to shout out the channel sponsors, Jam Jam Cards UK. If you are looking to pick up any Yugioh singles, check out their link in the description. Use code Rufioh15 for 15% off your order. But anyway, that's definitely enough waffling on from me. Let's get stuck into the deck profile. Okay, so here we have it, Duelist. The list of Charlie Green was excellent enough to share with me. Now, much of this will be pretty standard and cookie cutter, however, I will run through it to the best of my knowledge. Unfortunately, he didn't hand over any notes of anything of note, so some of this may be a little bit of guesswork, but I've played the deck enough myself personally and seen it played enough that I can probably guess my way through some of this. So, start with a triple Lava Golem. There's probably not much to say here, really. Punishes your opponent for having too much on the board. It burns damage, which can obviously be important in time if you do get into grind games, although that's not really the aim here. And it also acts as like a bridge and things like that, as you'll see in the deck with things like Small World. We'll get to all of that in a moment, but just a really cool option to have in here. Not much else to say. Triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Now, Ash, of course, not much to say here, really. It is interesting the inclusion of hand traps in here because many decks will opt not to go for this and just go for more board breakers. So, seeing this in here is kind of good. I would assume, again, that this doubles up as some sort of small world target, although I can't say that for certain. But given the fact that we've got fire attributes and things here, that kind of leads me to make me think that that's the case. We've got Cyframe, Gear Gamma, and Driver. Again, not much to say here. Just an incredibly strong hand trap, especially going second. Can just end opponents' turns and just double punish them, especially if you do it during your turn. If they try to hand trap you, it can be absolutely insane if you get to resolve this. We have triple copies of Numeron Wall. Not much to say here. Again, you need to play it. It's the Numeron deck. Archfiend Eccentric, again, seems like another small world target to allow you to maybe get from Numeron Wall to Lava Golem off the top of my head. Things like that. But it also doubles up as a pretty useful card in and of itself with its effects. So not much to say in that front. We've got a couple of Kaijus here. We've got the Gamma Seal, the Sea Turtle Kaiju. And we've got Godala. Obviously, this can help out things like, say, Barrier Statue and things like that. To give you some options there. We then have Dynaressa Pancratops, probably one of the best go second cards in the game. Not much to say here. We have Numeron Call-In, double copies of this, of course. We have triple copies of Numeron Network. These are pretty standard ratios for this sort of thing. We then have triple copies of Small World. Card is obviously fucking great. I was playing this in Grand Margie myself. Obviously, slightly different deck, but the same aim, just to absolutely smack the fuck out of your opponent. And this, of course, helps you get there. It gets you to key parts and allows you to search important components of the deck. Triple copies of Droplet for breaking those boards you otherwise would not be able to break. Again, not much else to say here. Triple Lightning Storm punishes your opponent if they forget to put everything in defense, although a lot of decks, of course, can't do that with links. And, of course, doubles up as fantastic back row removal. We then have Terraforming, we're playing field spells, a single copy of Call by the Grave to stop that key component, such as a hand trap, from going through, or punish your opponent if they're trying to play. It can act, defensively or offensively, just depending on what you want to do. Harpy's Feather Duster, fuck back row. 2 copies of Mystic Mine. Yeah, not much to say about this. You don't open anything else, slap down the mine, ask your opponent how many cards they have in their deck. If they don't have the out, they should probably scoop there. And even if they do, this is going to give you a few turns to get to key components to break your opponent. And then after that, we have triple copies of Widow Anchor. This is a surprise inclusion, not one that I've seen in any other builds. It's quite interesting, the choice of this in here. Of course, I don't know if there's maybe additional interaction that he's thought about that we're not seeing, that he hasn't disclosed, but it's a really cool card, and it's very interesting, again, to see it in here. And then a single copy of Red Reboot, not much to say here, one of the best Ghost Second cards. On to our extra deck here, double copies of each of the Numerons. Again, not much to say in this case. It means that you can resolve it twice, whether that's go first or second. When you go in first, you'll normally want to resolve it and then resolve it a second time to actually go for the kill. Going first will allow you to go into other players, which we'll get to with the links. We have a single copy of the Chaos Gate here. I really like this inclusion. I was always a big fan of having this in the builds when I played it. Just being able to banish everything is really, really handy. There can be some decks that, you know, you don't really get any other options that you can use, and this can help out those awkward boards, stuff like destruction, protection, things like that. This just can help give you another option. We have Omega, we're playing the Gamma and the Driver, of course. We have some links here, Link Spider, presumably to get rid of things like, I don't know, Nibiru's tokens and things like that, and of course get rid of anything else that you need to. A single relinquished anima, I guess you can always just go Numeron Wall, summon, link it off into this, and punish your opponent for bad placement. Infinitrack, Fortress, Megaclops, this is something that you can use your remaining X seeds for in your turn. Much the same for Avramax, and much the same for Appaloosa, depending on what you need, which means that you're not stuck without ways to play going first. Then on to the side deck. So a single copy of Mystic Mine to make up the third. Some decks just auto lose to this. Triple copies of Demise Land, probably to spring up that Mystic Mine on people who are unsuspecting. Losing my tongue here. Single copy of Change Your Heart, I guess to punish your opponent. Triple copies of Cosmic Cyclone, back row removal is relevant. Some decks you really struggle with. This will help you get there. Metaverse, again, another Demise Land essentially. Summon Limit, if I'm not mistaken, the ruling on this, being that it is neither player can summon more than 2 times per turn, I assume that would be that would not include simultaneous. So one summon would be all 5 monsters, or all 4 monsters, sorry, in the case of the Numerons, and so on and so forth. So you can still basically play it as normal under this. And the triple copies of D-Barrier to round us off, of course, punishing those other decks, such as the Fusion and Synchro decks that are pretty much everywhere in the format. So congratulations to Charlie for getting that really cool finish. Again, not quite enough to get the top cut, but really interesting to see it do this well at an event of the magnitude and size of the UK Nationals. Thank you very much for forwarding that profile over to me, Charlie. I do really appreciate it. So Duelists, if you're watching and you haven't hit subscribe yet, now is the time to absolutely do so. Again, before you change your mind and realise how bad this fucking garbage content is. But in either case, thank you very much for making it this far into the video. I do really appreciate it. But anyway, that is definitely enough waffling on from me. Thank you very much for coming along. Once again, I do definitely appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.